India and Israel are having a landmark year. Trade negotiators have just concluded the second round of the free trade agreement talks in New Delhi, and defense agreements between the two allies alone have surged past $8 billion in 2026. That's nearly Pakistan's total defense budget of 2025. Every third Israeli weapon exported anywhere in the world is bought by India. Every time Israel builds a new weapon, India buys them, and then Pakistan becomes a live testing ground. Shortly, we'll get you detailed first-hand accounts of Israeli military officers who have spoken for the first time on how they secretly helped arm India to win the Kargil War against Pakistan in 1999.
India, it has 1.4 billion people, and boy, do we have a tremendous support there.
The robust ties today give rise to the common misconception that India has always backed Israel. But that's far from the truth. Not only did India oppose the partition of Israel and Palestine back in 1947, India is also among the first countries in the world to recognize the state of Palestine way back in 1988 and always supported a two-state solution. It was only in 1992 that India established full diplomatic relations with Israel. But the real turning point came in the 1999 Kargil War against Pakistan, when Israel backed India despite American and global pressure to supply laser-guided bombs and ammunition, which eventually helped Indian military defeat Pakistani intruders in Kashmir. Since then, India recognizes Israel as a real friend, and now it appears India is repaying that trust even as Israel faces global opposition for its own military response to the horrific October 2023 terror attack by Hamas. Now, under Prime Minister Modi and Netanyahu, India and Israel are forging one of the most defining partnerships of today. And the next highlight is a historic free trade agreement. India and Israel have concluded the second round of negotiations for the proposed FTA after 4 days of talks at Vinijya Bhavan, or the Office of Commerce and Industry in New Delhi. Technical teams from both the sides worked through nearly every chapter of the proposed FTA pact, including trade in goods and services, rules of origin, sanitary and phytosanitary measures, technical barriers to trade, intellectual property rights, customs procedures, and trade facilitation. Bilateral merchandise trade between the two countries stood at about $3.9 billion in 2025-26 financial year, and both the governments described the talks as constructive, with a shared goal of reaching a balanced, comprehensive, and mutually beneficial trade agreement. The first round of FTA talks opened in Delhi on February 24, 2026, just days ahead of Prime Minister Modi's 2-day state visit to Israel. Two Israeli officers have now publicly shared for the first time detailed first-hand accounts of how Israel rushed critical military technology to India during the Kargil War in 1999, a story that has quietly shaped the bilateral relationship for the past 25 years. Former Rafael program manager, Army, and retired Israeli Air Force fighter pilot Shlomo, directly involved in the 1999 Kargil War, have for the first time given detailed on-record accounts of Israel's role in that India-Pakistan war. They recounted how an urgent Friday night call from Israel's defense attaché in New Delhi, just as Shabbat, or Judaism's week of rest and spiritual renewal, was beginning, triggered a rapid response, with engineers and critical equipment mobilized and flown to India within 48 hours. He stated, "Everybody supported this effort. Nobody asked questions. We have a friend in need." According to their account, the effort focused on supplying the Lightning Targeting Pod, or laser-guided and infrared-enabled missile guidance systems, which Rafael had been integrating with Indian Air Force's French-built Mirage 2000 fighter jets since 1996, years before the Kargil War. Shlomo said the main challenge was integrating it in days, an Israeli targeting pod with a French aircraft and American laser-guided bombs, a complex procedure that normally took weeks to perfect even under peacetime conditions. Once operational, the system transformed the accuracy of Indian Air Force strikes from tens of meters away to just 2 or 3 meters. This is especially important in mountain warfare, where vertical distance might increase dramatically even if accuracy is just a bit off. But this shift Shlomo called a genuine turning point in India's air campaign. He credited the then commander commanders Nambiar and Tiwari saying their precision strikes on Pakistani positions overlooking Tiger Hill marked a turning point for India's war victory. He added, "Before that, without the targeting pod, I would say that if you hit the target within 20 or 30 meters, it made a noise, but not more than that. With laser-guided bombs, you can hit within 2 or 3 meters from the target. It is a world changer. It is the game changer." Army, who made nearly 100 trips to India between 1996 and 2004, described the collaboration as something that went beyond commercial ties entirely. Israel also supplied 155 mm mortar shells, laser-guided precision munition, and lightning pods on an emergency basis during Kargil, a moment when India was still under Western and US sanctions following its 1998 nuclear tests. In a symbolic move to further deepen India-Israel cultural ties, the Consulate General of Israel in Mumbai announced plans to install a statue of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in Israel, the iconic 17th century Indian king who waged a campaign to defeat the Mughal foreign invaders. The announcement was made on Shivrajya Abhishek Din, commemorating the coronation of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in 1674. The project received the backing of Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. On the defense front, the 2026 has emerged as a landmark year for India-Israel military cooperation. Israel and India have agreed to arms deals worth nearly $8.6 billion. The package includes Rafale Spice 1000 precision-guided bombs, Elbit Systems Rampage air-to-surface missiles, Israel Aerospace Industries Air LoRa air-launched ballistic missile, and Rafale's Icebreaker missile system. The Indian Air Force and Indian Army had used Israeli-origin drones, loitering munitions, and air defense systems to hammer Pakistan during Operation Sindoor war last year. Every time Israel develops a new weapon, Pakistan checks if India has already pre-ordered it. This positions Israel as India's third largest arms supplier after Russia and France, building on nearly $20.5 billion in sales between 2020 and 2024. India accounts for nearly 34% of all Israeli arms exports. The defense deals approved by Defense Minister Rajnath Singh focuses on giving the Indian Air Force fighter jets greater standoff strike capability. Much of the current momentum traces back to the personal friendship between the two prime ministers. PM Modi made history in 2017 as the first Indian prime minister to visit Israel, breaking with decades of diplomatic caution. PM Netanyahu reciprocated with a visit to India the following year. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described Indian PM Modi as more than a friend, a brother. In their most recent meeting, which came in February 2026, PM Modi returned to Israel for a 2-day state visit. During that visit, the two leaders elevated bilateral ties to what they called a special strategic partnership, putting defense, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and emerging technologies at the center of the agenda. But what do you believe? Has Israel become one of India's most trusted allies today? Leave a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe to Inconnect News.